I have, since the very first time I ran for Congress in the 1970s, expressed a great deal of concern about the monetary issue, something that has been ignored. This is the first time in over 100 years that monetary policy has been discussed in a presidential campaign. On the universities, where I get large crowds, we get large number of young people coming out interested in the money issue. We had over 4,000 show up the other night at the University of Minnesota. The issue of money is one of the most interesting subjects for these young people, because when I talk about the monetizing of debt, the printing of money, the endless devaluation of our currency and how important it is, it gets one of the loudest applauses, because young people understand that money is a very important issue. They understand that the Constitution is explicit. The Constitution says no emitting bills of credit, no paper money, only gold and silver can be legal tender. And today we allow big government to grow, whether it's on the conservative side or the liberal side. If they want something, they usually have a compromise, spend it on both, and then they resort to printing money. And that is where our trouble's coming from, and that is the crisis we're facing. All great nations and great empires end for fiscal, financial reasons. That's how the Soviet system was defeated. We didn't have to invade them. We didn't have to fight them. Their system collapsed. And that is what's happening today. The middle class is getting wiped out. The middle class is getting poorer endlessly because they can't keep up with the cost of living. And the solution isn't printing more money and spending more money and allowing the Federal Reserve to pretend they can solve the problem. The answer is found in fiscal conservatism. Live within our means is what we have to do. You know, as long as a government can stir up fear, sometimes real and sometimes not real, the people are expected to do one thing: sacrifice their liberty. If you're fearful, the government, the people who believe in big government conservatives or big government liberals, they like fear to be out there. And sometimes fear is normal and natural and real, and we have to deal with it. But at other times, it's concocted. In times of war, whether it was the Civil War, the First World War, the Second World War, just think of the violations of civil liberties during the period of war when people are frightened. The one conclusion I have come to since 9/11 is that there is absolutely never a need to sacrifice any of your personal liberties to be safe. That means we do not have to accept the notion that we can have warrantless searches, a total loss of our privacy. We don't need a national ID card. Believe me, we do not need it. The analogy that I like to use about the national ID card and what happened in 9/11, you know, guns are dangerous, and when criminals have them, they can commit crimes, and we want to regulate that. We want to take the guns from the criminals and put the criminals in jail. But we as conservatives and constitutionalists know that you don't take the guns away from law-abiding citizens. And when we deal with this issue of taking care of the people and protecting the people, you don't have to register the American people to make us safe. You have to deal with the problem much more directly. Now, we have a responsibility in the Constitution. One of the most explicit responsibilities, of course, protecting liberties, having a judicial system, having sound money, and providing for strong national defense. None of us should argue about that. We do debate on how we get the strongest national defense. I don't think we're doing very well. Our military is not in good shape. A lot of equipment is down. Our Air National Guard, our Army National Guard, they're drained. Our reserves are overseas. We have men that are going back third and fourth and fifth time. They've been in 5 years. They get out and they get recalled. We have a de facto draft, and there's a danger of this war spreading, and there's no end in sight. McCain says we should stay there for 100 years if necessary. I say there's no need to do that. One thing that is very conservative and very constitutional, and we had followed this, would have stayed out of a lot of trouble since World War II. You cannot be a conservative and believe that we can go to war under the direction of a single person without congressional approval and without a declaration of war. That's what we should always have. Because I am not anxious to go to war unless it's necessary and dictated by the people through the Congress. Some people say, oh, that means you're weak on the military. That means you're weak on the troops. Well, let me tell you something about where we get our support and make you reconsider if that is what you believe. You know, we did some statistical studies about where the money comes into the campaign. I know that you have recognized that we can and have raised a lot of money. But if you look at where it comes from and where the active military personnel send their money, we in the last quarter received more money from the military active duty personnel than all the other Republicans and Democrat candidates put together. You know, providing for the national defense is very, very important. And as I said, understanding it, I don't think we have any disagreement there. But understanding why we might be threatened. One thing that we are not threatened by is a military operation. They're incapable. We have more weapons. We probably have twice as many weapons of all the other countries put together. So nobody's going to invade us. We are not weak, and we shouldn't act like we're weak. But here we are. We are frightened by what might happen, and of course we have to deal with the issue of terrorism. When the terrorist attack occurred, I voted for the authority and the funding to go after the Al-Qaeda. But Osama bin Laden, who used to be our ally, is still free. We chased him over into Pakistan. We dropped the ball at Tora Bora. So what did we do? We taxed the American people, or we borrowed the money from China, took another $10 billion and hired a military dictatorship by the name of Musharraf to go after Osama bin Laden, which he did not do, and now we still have a mess. Now we're doing exactly what we condemned Clinton for. We won in the year 2000 by campaigning for a humble foreign policy, no policing of the world, no police, no intervening. And now we are doing the very same thing. We're doing the very same thing, and things have not gotten better. Iraq had nothing to do with 9/11. There were no weapons of mass destruction. There was no Al-Qaeda there. It is the policy of intervention that I object to so strongly. One time they're our friends, the next time they're our enemy. Osama bin Laden was a freedom fighter when we gave him weapons and equipment to fight the Russians and the Soviets. Saddam Hussein, we propped him up and got him in power, and he was our friend, and we encouraged him to invade Iran. But it's this on-again, off-again stuff that continues to haunt us and keep coming back. But you know what? The truth of the matter is that Osama bin Laden likes our foreign policy. He likes our foreign policy because it's a tremendous incentive for him to raise his group of Al-Qaeda to join. Because he has been explicit. He says, we are going to do to you, United States, exactly what you and us together did to the Soviets. We are going to drain you. We're going to humiliate you. And therefore, we don't even need to come over here. So we have fallen into the trap. We have victimized ourselves. We have encouraged him. And we have done this by not following our Constitution that gives us no authority to be the policeman of the world.